education, modern education, really determines the kind of world that we're going to live in tomorrow. The children that we are bringing up today, it will be their world 20, 30 years down the road. And whoever is committed to promoting progress in education, other people really pulling the strings, if you will. So, and we're happy to be witnessing this change, and I would like to invite, I'm really quite excited, I would like to invite a person, a statesman, who's shown that the education sector can be reformed, that it can be made to meet people's needs. It's been a source of inspiration for all of us that change is possible, and the reform agenda that has been launched during the time that this person has been in office as Minister of Education. We have actually felt this change, and we really believe that we've reached an important tipping point, and now this progressive change is irreversible. I'm happy to invite Her Excellency Minister Liliya Hrynevych, Minister of Education of Ukraine. Good morning. I would like to thank you for this very emotional introduction. I'm very confident being in front of this audience and knowing there are more people in more halls on campus watching at the big screens. And I know how difficult it was to get into this conference. How many people came away frustrated that the event had been sold out by the time they came to buy a ticket. So it gives me a lot of hope and inspiration that indeed the change that is underway within education in the best interest of the child, that this change is irreversible. And this will be relevant not only for the school with passionaries, for headmasters, with people sometimes going against the rules, sometimes technically not even in line with the law as it stands, sometimes actually overcoming many of those obstacles. This is what's important for us. What's really important for us is that democratic education should become available to all families in this country, to enable each and every child to grow and develop their talents wherever they may study. And that is my dream. I have a dream. It is our dream that I'm confident that we will see it come to full fruition. Now we are only making baby steps down this path. And what serves as great evidence of that, and Vasyl Sokomlinsky coined the phrase that I keep repeating, that I think that this is actually the backbone of the new Ukrainian school. Our schools should never have unhappy children whose souls are obsessed by the thought that they are incapable, hopeless, something. Success in education is a source for internal force within a child. How to instill this in kids? No, we appreciate that not all kids will become great mathematicians, not all will be top achievers, top performers, under the standards that the school sets. But each and every child must have the right, must be given the opportunity of carving out what reflects their talent and have a way of achieving and being rewarded for progress. But what really binds us together, both parents and educational professionals, it's not about technology, it's not about techniques, it's not that. While being important, a big part of this is our attitude to the child and our attitude to scoring our children and rewarding them for success. I would like to begin by expressing my profound appreciation to all the organizers, to the international experts and Ukrainian experts who've gathered here, and everyone who wanted to get in to this conference and struggle hard to make to get in. This is a platform for discussion, for discussing all these new approaches, because it's actually a puzzle that is made up of many elements, and each of those elements is important. Should one fall out, you will never complete the puzzle. Now we are only beginning to build the puzzle correctly. We have this general roadmap. Now we need to drill down into specifics. Look, this is the formula for the new Ukrainian school. This is nothing new to teachers and education professionals. It's been discussed for some time. What I would like to draw your attention to is that each and every element of this formula is unalienable. It's a must element. From the contents, and we are now reforming the contents of the education, and we know this from the experience of successful training frameworks. It's not only a certain set of knowledge. A motivated and inspiring teacher is key to this. Partnership is a new deal between the parents, the teachers, and the children, and a modern, a vibrant, and enabling educational environment to enable the teachers to make the best possible use of the available technology. It's something that's opening up brand new opportunities, not only for education, but there is more. It is opening up motivation. It is encouraging the children to study, because what is the single biggest problem to modern school children is the loss of motivation to learn. There is no way you can coerce the kids into studying, something that we have experienced in the past, because they now live in an open world, and they are surrounded by this open world because there is so much information and different sources of information and new rules of the game and everything. So motivation is something that lies at the heart of it, and that needs to be supported, and we can use modern technologies to make that happen. Inclusive education, yes, education for all. Each and every child has the right to be provided with a comfortable and effective learning environment. I'm going to address this several slides down in my presentation. Let's go back to the formula. I'm not finished. Unless the education sector is fairly funded, equitably funded, there is no way we can make this formula work. How can you promote democracy if a school is not autonomous? If a school has no culture of making its own decisions, using transparent rules. You know that the new Ukrainian school has a different structure. It's the 3-year high school with specializations, and the backbone of this is the pervasive process ingrained in values, because you cannot defend your children from all this avalanche of information around them. There is no inoculation against that. Even if you set up certain filters to filter away certain websites, that is something that needs to be done. But the most valuable thing that you can accomplish is to create a spiritual core, a strong mental core, to help the child tell wrong from right, to stand tall in front of challenges and hardships, to help the child learn to appreciate another person's opinion, and to help the children build up a resilience in the face of stress, and teach them to handle failure. That is the best thing we can do to guard against addictions, guard against frustrations when a kid loses hope of ever seeing his or her dreams come true. And that will help us build successful, strong, resilient individuals. Any reform is a technology, and we have been delivering this reform. We hope that it will continue, and it is up to you. It's down to you, in fact, esteemed colleagues, to be the guarantors that this reform will continue, because we live in a democratic society and with changes of government. But what must remain the same are the solid values and the positive trends that we have nourished, and thousands of people have really invested so much time and effort into this. And this reform is so much the product of people's work and inspiration. And there are three streams now. Is an overhaul of the contents. Now we have rolled out a new state standard for elementary school education. Now we are discussing the comprehensive part of the education, and we've got the teacher in the spotlight, and this is something that holds the key to the reform. And we need to build a new and vibrant educational environment, and this needs to be quite heavily invested into. And in order to enable that investment, we need to put political pressure to make that change happen. But what needs to be borne in mind, what is the worst case scenario, is whenever some people may claim, yes, we support the reform, but we are not prepared to pick up the tab. Look, we've got representatives here from the private education sector. You know for a fact how expensive the education process is. You know how to do the costing for your training process, and you appreciate only too keenly that whenever you reduce investment, you eventually invariably end up eroding the quality of your education. In this country where education has been underfunded consistently, persistently, it's certainly in need of much investment now. And this chart shows some dynamics measuring our success in achieving the budget envelope for the education sector. Just not to hold on to these numbers, but it's important to keep up the upward trend. Because if this reform is to continue from elementary to basic education, what this means that the investment should be channeled into that sector too. What about the slide about subsidies? Where is it? Is it gone? Went AWOL. I wanted to show you how some of that money gets distributed. Okay, the slide is missing from the presentation. What I can tell you is that in terms of the areas, and there are so many areas into which to invest, and there are so many priorities, just for you to understand, to see the whole gamut. So we have this subsidy called child dignity. So you know what this is actually delivering? It has a very high-flown name, but it is to eventually build toilets inside the school buildings, because so many schools still the kids have to go out, especially when it gets very cold. And it's not only the kids, it's the teaching staff too. They have to use those outhouses, and it begins with that, and it goes all the way up to building modern computer classrooms with internet connectivity and all that, because we really want to introduce the internet extensively to enable schools to embark on the use of modern e-training tools. So this is something that should ring a bell to those of you who are involved in promoting the new Ukrainian school. And so it's about civic responsibility. It's about financial literacy and critical thinking, and how important it is to teach people to work as a team. All these elements are currently being introduced very prominently into the curricula. Now, moving on to the next slide. Let's just, okay, we can skip this one. It's okay, I would like to specifically address inclusive education. This serves as an acid test, as a marker, if you will. There is no better way of embracing individuals. It's when you have children studying together with a child with special needs, a child who has a disability. Then this is the best environment to teach those quote-unquote normal kids to learn to appreciate, to embrace those other kids by breaking the ice. And they learn to see past their disabilities and begin to identify those kids as a source of something valuable for them. It is only through being together, through communicating, that this becomes possible. Look at this trend. In 2016, we only had a little over 4,000 children with special needs. Now we have a little under 12,000. What I would like to emphasize is that we have lots of work still lying ahead of us. And by us, I mean the school headmasters who are spearheading this positive change, each within their training institution. I'm talking about teachers. I'm also addressing the parents, because this reform, entitled the New Ukrainian School, was a reform that was born out of communication between professionals and parents, committed to reforming the sector in the best interest of the child. There is still this trend, you know what, when sometimes those two camps become warring camps, feuding between the parents and the teachers. But actually, what is really very critical and crucial is to build a cooperative relationship between teachers and parents. We've seen such examples in Ukraine, and it's for a reason that I mentioned Sukhomlinsky. What is really crucial for us are the experiences of such countries as Finland, as Israel, several other progressive countries, but we also draw on an immense and on a wealth of pedagogical experience amassed in Ukraine. Our great schools and our great teachers that we can and should rely on. Our objective, we are building a national, a Ukrainian education sector to bring up a happy child in each and every school. Remember, you can send your child to a private school or build an elitist school, but when the child grows up, they will have to live in the midst of society, surrounded by people who have not been educated privately, and this majority will invariably skew your child with the best education. So our objective is to build a critical mass of well-educated people, to increase the level of happiness within society, to increase opportunities for people to realize their potential and build a happy life, not at the expense of others, but collaboratively, cooperatively, jointly. That's what I would like to wish all of you, all of us. Thank you.